Apologies for that. I was just downing some bleach. Jesus Christ. Okay. I had no plans to see this. I just had no desire to sit down and spend an hour and 54 minutes of my life watching fucking Madam Web. You know, the new Phonyverse movie starring Dakota Johnson about famous Spider-Man character Madam Web. Oh, you don't know who Madam Web is? Neither does anyone fucking else. Sad to say though, I paid for my mistakes as Madam Web gave me cancer. Not actually. Listen, I've lost family members to cancer, so I can make that joke. But to be fair, Madam Web did destroy my insides. Okay, that's the last one. It's so hard even talking about this movie, because where the fuck do you start? Literally name any one aspect of a movie. Just one feature a movie has. Guarantee you, Madam Web does it wrong. I guess we can start with the script. I genuinely don't know if Sony was just pranking us with this movie. Is it just a big old joke and where the punchline? Because nothing about this script makes any sense whatsoever. Every bit of dialogue delivered by the characters feels so unnatural and forced that I can just visualize the screenwriter typing away at their computer in a dark lit room with a menacing producer lurking in the shadows, aiming a 9mm at the writer's head. Speaking of characters, this movie doesn't really have them. Sure, there are people in the movie, but not one single character feels actually like a person. They all just feel like little plot points whose only purpose is to push the confusing and boring plot along. Things just sort of happen in this movie. I swear, for at least an hour of the film, it just follows Dakota Johnson around taking these 3 teenage girls to different places. Nothing happens. Genuinely nothing. Dakota Johnson takes the girls to places, sprinkle in some cringy dialogue throughout, cut back to the villain Ezekiel acting menacing and talking about how he must kill them, rinse and repeat. Speaking of the fucking villain, Ezekiel Sims, or Ceiling Guy as the characters referred to him for a good portion of the film, is maybe the worst on-screen movie villain I have ever seen. The film is so amateurishly made that I'm almost 100% certain that the character's dialogue in every single scene was added in post-production. 90% of the time his character is speaking, the shots are focused on other characters, or they find some way to obscure his mouth. The 10% you do actually see him speak, and his facial expressions and mouth movements don't even fucking match the words that are being spoken. Speaking of being amateurishly filmed, the camera work in this movie looks worse than some freshman year short films I saw during film school. I wish I was exaggerating just a little bit, but the unmotivated and silly camera work aren't just bad, but they're genuinely nauseating. The camera will flip around and spin or invert itself at random times during action sequences for no reason. The editing on top of it is so jarring, with dozens of cuts just in the span of a few seconds, making the entire visual experience of the film completely unbearable. My friend who I saw the film with, who doesn't even really care about cinematography or good camera work, within 3 minutes of the film starting, turned to me and said, "Hey bro, what's going on with the camera?" They do this weird Zack Snyder zoom effect at just random points in shots, but at least when Snyder does it, it's usually a far away wide shot that zooms in on something to get a closer look. At several points in this film, the camera will be super close up on the characters already, and then the camera will just zoom in even closer on their faces. All of the technical stuff may even be able to get overlooked by casual audience members who don't really care about that stuff, but the script is remarkably horrible. Everything is so transparent that a second grader with a learning disability could see through it. At one point, Dakota Johnson just out of nowhere teaches the 3 teenage girls how to do CPR. Gee golly, I wonder if that will come back into play. Dakota Johnson's character also just has like the worst superhero journey I have ever seen in a film. She just starts getting visions of the future, doesn't know how to control it, then after a nice little pep talk from some Amazonian spider person, now she's a master of her abilities and damn near godlike. Also, the product placement. Jesus Christ, the product placement. Not since Elizabeth Banks walking down the street in 2017's Power Rangers yelling out, "Where's the Krispy Kreme? I must find the Krispy Kreme," has product placement been more in your face. It's not bad enough that the second Dakota Johnson enters a party, she's handed a nice Pepsi that's perfectly framed with the label facing right towards us, but the film ends with our awesome villain dying by getting crushed by the giant P from a big neon Pepsi sign. Are you fucking kidding me? What? Who does that? Is this a cartoon? Am I supposed to be watching a cartoon right now? Also, this movie is so goddamn Spider-Man adjacent that it pisses me off. Adam Scott is in the movie as Ben Parker, you know, the dude infamous for repeatedly dying, but he says in the movie that he's met a girl and it's serious, but he just can't say her name May, because this film is a masterclass in subtlety. Oh, and his sister Mary is in the movie too, played by Emma Roberts, and she's pregnant. They even play a game guessing the baby's name, and right before she says Peter, a fucking balloon pops and it's never addressed again. You even see the baby born at the end of the film, but God fucking forbid this movie even says the name Peter. Oh yeah, and on the topic of bullshit, you know how in the trailer it showcases the 3 teen girls with powers and in their costumes? Yeah, that part is only in the movie as a future vision. You never actually see them get their powers or costumes. Fuck off, Sony. Just fuck off. I genuinely didn't think movies, especially comic book movies, could be this bad anymore. I thought they had sort of figured out comic book films. Even movies I couldn't stand recently, like Ant-Man Quantumania and Thor Love and Thunder, had some level of professional competence behind them. But this pile of rhinoceros shit that Sony is calling a movie is kind of offensive to anyone with half a brain cell. This is one of those films I genuinely wonder how it doesn't have a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. 13% is just too high. Who liked this? Why? Defend yourself. Normally, I try to see people's perspectives, but I cannot fathom finding this to be an enjoyable experience. It is just bad, in every conceivable way. It just does nothing right. Even little amateur filmmaking rules like, hey, maybe not the best idea to play an in-movie song inside the universe of the film and then add in your film's musical score on top of it, is broken several times in this. I'm at a loss for words at this point. I cannot understand how this got made. I don't understand how a director who's never made a feature film was given $80 million to make this. And why did Sony spend another $60 million more in marketing? They had to have known this was going to be bad. I know they focus test this shit. There is no way that a movie like Batgirl, which was shelved by Warner Bros. For being too bad, is worse than this. I refuse to believe it. I think I better end this before I pop a blood vessel in my forehead. I am just so baffled and bewildered by how bad Madame Web was. I had heard it was bad. It was obviously getting a lot of hate, but I really thought it was a case of, oh yeah, it's bad, but not the worst thing you'll see this year. I know, I thought maybe this would be a 3 or a 4 out of 10, right up there with recent MCU entries. But no, I was completely and utterly wrong. This is a solid 1 out of 10 movie, no question about it. What a stupid fucking film. Well, that's it for today, guys. As always, if you liked the video, make sure to click the like button, subscribe if you want to hear more from me, click the little bell notification button so you do get notified when I post new content, and make sure to check out my horror movie podcast, Scared Speechless, anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and even here on YouTube. And as always, guys, I'll see you on the next video.